Artificial intelligence is here and it is accelerating. And you're going to have driverless cars and you're going to have more and more automated services. And that's going to make the job of giving everybody work that is meaningful tougher.
Worldwide, 800 million jobs could be automated by 2030. In the United States, 73 million jobs are at risk.
The last 15 years have been really an explosion in terms of the technology, and the last 3 or 4 years have been an explosion in terms of investment in robotics.
At a hardware store in Silicon Valley, Oshbot. Doorknobs.
Sure, follow me.
Are you serious?
Yep.
It's voice recognition software fluent in multiple languages and laser sensor safety technology can do a better job than many of America's 5 million or so retail workers.
They're just fine. They'll go around you. They can replan on the fly and make decisions about where to go and what to do. A lot of warehouse managers want where you can turn the lights off in a facility and just have it operating without any people in it.
Are you okay with the fact that this is going to replace thousands, maybe tens of thousands of caddies?
Absolutely, and this technology can be applied to other types of jobs as well. Porters, bellhops, stockroom clerks, anywhere where heavy lifting is involved.
Look at that. It uses its malleable robotic hand to pick tomatoes off trees, pack eggs into cartons, and they're testing out this robotic strawberry picker. Take a look. It delicately picks the fruit without bruising it.
They know where to turn, where to drive, and where to drop off their cargo. They even yield to each other when one crosses in front of the other, and there are no humans in sight.
Robots do not pay taxes. Robots do not shop in our communities. Robots do not pay rent. They don't buy homes. They don't lease office space. We're gonna keep moving on this. We're not gonna allow for jobs to be taken and for robots to displace us.
Every person that I see here is taking care of 4 other people, their family. Every single person you see. And that shows you how much trucking is feeding the country.
This was an avenue for people to go in to pull themselves out of poverty and have a middle-class job and an honest wage. They want it to be gone.
If the average age is 55, these guys going to be computer programmers when they didn't finish high school? I doubt it.
I say I'll just go work at a burger joint, and that's automated too. When does it stop?
I don't think it would be responsible to just let the consequences rip, and then we find that large numbers of people are displaced and miserable and angry and well-armed, and we just figure, well, let's see what happens.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge.
Hi, I'm the Google Assistant calling to make a reservation for a client. This automated call will be recorded.
With Virtual Source, you can now automate a much broader range of your call types for just 1/5 of the cost of a human agent. And best of all, they're available 24/7. They never get tired. They never ask for a raise.
Tori Shorman worked in the mortgage department at a major Canadian bank.
I witnessed about 40% of my department get laid off, and the reason they were given was automation.
Just drag and drop. Powered by IBM Watson, Legalmation reviews and analyzes the complaint and prepares an initial draft answer. A day's work in just a few minutes.
I want us to have a realistic but optimistic view about what jobs can be, but we're not prepared for that.
Remarkably, the political figure who is making the most sense on this subject, who has thought about it most deeply, is a Democrat who is running for president.
Please welcome Andrew Yang.
I studied economics in college, and according to economic theory, if you were to automate away 4 million manufacturing jobs, which we did, those workers would move, get retrained, reskilled, find new, higher productivity jobs, and all would be well. But when I dug into the numbers, it turns out that almost half of those workers left the workforce and never worked again. And then we saw surges in drug overdoses and suicides in those communities to the point where our life expectancy as a country has declined for the last 3 years. So I'm meeting with various legislators in DC being like, guys, what are we gonna do? We're in the 3rd inning of the greatest economic and technological transformation in the history of the country. What is the plan? The responses I got were, we can't talk about that, we should study that, and we must educate and retrain Americans for the jobs of the future. And then I said, guys, I looked at the studies. We're terrible at that.
The people who we trained ended up less likely to have steady work. They have bigger drops in their wages than the people who hadn't gone back to school.
Then the legislator would be like, well, I guess we're gonna get better at it then. and then they just go back to their lunch. And I just be like, holy shit. So this is why I'm running for president. I spent the last 7 years helping create thousands of jobs around the country, and people were clapping me on the back, giving me medals, being like, how'd you do it, Andrew? And I was like, no, you don't get it. I was pouring water into a bathtub that has a giant hole ripped in the bottom. The water is rushing out the bottom. It got Donald Trump elected, and it's about to take off. So what is the vision that actually helps address the devastation of the fourth industrial revolution on workers and communities around the country? If you've heard anything about me and my campaign, you heard something like this, Ohio. There's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. And the first time it sounded like a gimmick, a joke, too good to be true, will never happen, but this is not my idea. It's a deeply American idea embedded in our DNA. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of our country, called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King fought for it in the 60s, called it the guaranteed minimum income, and it is what he was fighting for the day he was assassinated in 1968. 1,000 economists endorsed it in the 70s. It was so mainstream, it passed the US House of Representatives twice in 1971, came this close to being law, and one state actually passed a dividend about 10 years later where everyone in that state now gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? And how do they pay for it? And what is the oil of the 21st century? Technology, that's right. Amazon's paying zero in taxes. Google, Facebook, Uber, all these mega tech companies, they're investing billions in AI, and how much are you going to see of that? Zero. That's what we have to change. We have to make the economy work for us, the owners and shareholders of this country. If we put a mechanism in place so that we all get our fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, we can easily afford a dividend of $1,000 a month. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. They call it the oil check in Alaska, and they love it. We're gonna call this the tech check, and we're all gonna love it. Let's go, let's take it all the way in 2020.